Okay, we're talking about mastering stress, master stress with HeartMath. And, the ideal is your brain. Now, this is a quote by Sean Anker, and he's done a lot with positive psychology and productiveness. So he states that when your brain is at positive, meaning in a positive state, you can say your heart and your mind, it's 31% more productive than your brain at negative or stressed. So doesn't that make us want to get in a state where we feel positive, and especially for being, you can say, generative or productive in our living, that state is a lot more productive than just being, you can say, at negative or blah, or when we're stressed. And we kind of know that, but actually to have someone figure it out and give us percentage-wise, it can make a difference to give us motivation to stay in a right frame of heart and mind. So we're talking about resilience and adaptation. So you think about resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from a stressor. Adaptation, if we can't bounce back, how we change to survive, to compensate to a compensated degree. So that means, we can, if we're not handling stress properly, we're adapting. And when we adapt in ways, we might actually short circuit certain things within our system, within our, you can say, our feelings. We maybe shut things off in a way to adapt, where we want to have resilience, the ability to bounce back. So we don't have to cause those, you can say, those changes that kind of dim us down. And resilience and the more resilience we have, it leads to having a reserve. So there's a reserve where when stress comes along, we have, you can say, a sense of ourselves to handle what comes along. So it does take something. And so it takes something to stay in a positive state, you can say, of extending something out. And then if we're adapting, you can say things are starting to close in on us. We're starting to, you can say, dim down or become negative or cut things off. So let's look at it in terms of this. So with HeartMath, we recognize, and I think we can agree with this, all of us, in essence, is an essence of light. And that light, or the nature of ourselves, is unique and basically strong and vital. But that sensing of actually who we are in essence, the essence of light, needs to be received into a coherent heart. And we talked about with HeartMath that there needs to be a coherence in heart rate variability rhythms that look like this rather than being jagged like we showed. And what I love about HeartMath, it helps to cultivate feelings of thankfulness, appreciation, patience. And when we have those feelings, our heart is in these rhythms. And we are in that positive state. We are in that state where we're 31% more productive, more generative in our living. But we have our mind, and we talked about the quiet, directed, conscious mind. So when our heart is positioned this way, you can say what filters into our mind is filtered in sequence. It's sequenced in a way where we have perspective. It's sequenced in a way where it's quietly directed with a sense of ease. And then it allows for, you can say, clarity in our expression, clarity in our, you can say, our physical expression. And that expression then can extend an integrated life-giving influence, playing our part. So the one I want to talk about now, some of you may not have heard this before, but there's something called the one law alignment. And that relates to, you can say, physically speaking, to electricity. In electricity, there's positive and there's negative charges. Negative charges provide a ground for the positive to create, you can say, an energetic loop in order for electricity to flow. So it's the same thing with our bodies in terms of flowing from above, the light that we are, down through our heart, through our mind, and then out through our bodies, out into expression. In chiropractic, we call it above, down, inside, out. So that one law, though, I'm going to introduce this idea, this law to you. It's not really an idea. It's actually it's a principle of being. And everything basically revolves around the one law. So if we look at it here And again, this is an introduction. We can talk more about it in another session, but just looking at it in terms of what's called positive radiation. You can say that the sun radiates something positive. It's the same thing with the essence of our being. It's constantly radiating something positive. And that needs to be received, negative response, received into our heart and through our mind. And then when it is in that respect, then it allows for something positive to come through our bodies, where it actually extends an influence, where our world begins to, you can say, revolve around us rather than us revolving around our world. Well, the problem comes in when these polarities shift. When you could say this negative, the world should be revolving around our expression. But when we revolve around what's happening in the external world, these polarities shift, and they shift where this becomes, you can say, a positive to a positive, they actually repel each other. And that's where you might feel separated. Your heart feels like separated from a sense of purpose, from a sense of actually who you are. So I just wanted to begin this process, introducing this process to you in terms of the one law. And there's a whole lot more in this respect, and we can go into that more according to your interests, so you let me know in that respect. Okay, so what happens though when we don't have an alignment, or you can say we're aligned here? And this is a process I coined called the messenger RNA process to use as needed. So you can say when we're in alignment, our heart is receiving the light that we are because we're in coherence. Our mind, the rudder of our heart, our mind here is actually keeping our heart fixed in attitudes of thankfulness, appreciation, and praise, and something that is extending out through us, out into the world, that assists others, that encourages others. But what happens when our heart basically gets an oh no feeling, and our heart may be impacted by something, and our mind becomes twisted, and then things begin to rush in on us? Remember that negative thing where things begin to dim down? But in those moments, we need to recognize that we have a choice to make. And that choice relates to either defaulting to patterns of shame, fear, hate, greed, which causes accelerated aging. And again, I've been working with a platform called Conscious Healthy Aging. You're welcome to join in with that if that strikes you. But we have a choice to be deliberate or to default to these patterns, or deliberate to uprighting ourselves and breathing. So let's just practice that. Upright yourself in your chair and breathe in slowly and breathe out slower. Let's just pause for a moment. Breathing in slow. Put your hands over your heart and imagine breathing through your heart, and breathing out slower. And what that does, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, and it allows for that quiet, directed mind to be engaged with, to be filtered from your heart. And as you do this, and you may have to do that as many times as you need until you remember what you love. And we talked about considering experiencing things that you love. And that allows for a perspective, a letting go of what actually is causing that oh no feeling there that relates to that, allowing for a change to happen, so letting go of, and then allowing for a change, allowing for a shift, where you begin to let go to what it takes for the peace of understanding to be experienced within yourself. And then that allows you to know the quiet, directed mind, returning to the place you fill with everyone, of extending a life-giving influence, where we shift from that having an oh no feeling to having an oh yes feeling, where we have an opportunity to, you can say, wax strong in our moments. If we get caught, we go through this process, but eventually we can say, when things happen, we say, oh yes, here's my opportunity. If I can actually assist with handling this rightly, I know it's going to assist others that do the same. So we actually lead, you can say, we have a sense of leadership for our world, a sense of letting our essences coming through, so other essences may come through others. So let's look at it in terms of doing a meditation now. So again, we talked about putting your hands over your heart, sitting upright. So let's start with breathing in slow and out slower. Breathing in slow and out slower. And then consider something you love and feel that. And with HeartMath, it delineates where you, instead of just thinking about something you love, but the feeling it. So consider in your awareness what you truly love, and then feel the feeling of that. And you'll know it when you hit upon something you truly love, because you'll feel it through your whole body. And breathe that feeling in through your heart and out through your body, and that adds vitality to your system. So feel that feeling of love that you feel of something. It could be a place that you love. It could be your pet that you love. It could be a feeling that comes through words that you read. Feel the feeling. Breathing in, breathing out slower. So feel the strength of that. Okay. And feel the strength of that and practice that. So again, I'll open my eyes, which that's an exercise you can practice. It's a meditation for yourself there, especially in the morning. Okay, according to your interest. If you want to learn more about stress mastering, you can go to this link. Actually, you can go to my website and you'll see conscious health courses. And one of the courses is on stress mastering, where you can just take that down and you can access it that way. And then if you want to work one-to-one with HeartMath training with me, you can give me a call, 404-316-7081 to schedule. Okay. Love to work with you. Our next HeartMath session will be on February 5th, 2023 at 2 p.m. Let's stop the recording and look to share. And then keep in mind, though, inviting others, because there's such a need in this world, especially the feeling of overwhelm for things that we see in the paper or the news or in our personal lives of how to handling that. And HeartMath's a great way to do that. And even more so, if we really want to be, you can say, having an influence in the world, productive with our interests, and HeartMath helps to optimize that. So for now, we'll close the recording and consider these things for yourself.